Marcus Webb stood outside the big glass doors of the Grand Brew coffee shop. It was a cold afternoon in Seattle. He pulled his old jacket tighter around his body. The jacket had holes in it and did not keep him very warm anymore. His hands were cold and red from the winter air. He looked through the glass doors at the people inside. They all looked warm and comfortable. Some people were working on their laptops. Others were talking and laughing with friends. Everyone had big cups of hot coffee in front of them. The smell of fresh coffee came out every time someone opened the door. Marcus's stomach made a noise. He had not eaten since yesterday morning. Marcus was 34 years old, but he looked much older. His face had lines that should not be there yet. His hair was messy and too long. He had not had a real shower in many days. His clothes were dirty and wrinkled. He carried an old backpack that held everything he owned in this world. People on the street did not look at him anymore. Or, if they did look, they looked away quickly. 18 months ago, Marcus had a small apartment. He had a job washing dishes at a restaurant. It was not a great life, but it was something. Then he lost the job. Then he could not pay rent. Then he was on the streets. That was how fast life could change. One day, you have walls around you. The next day, you have nothing but the sky. Marcus took a deep breath and pushed open the door. Warm air hit his face. It felt so good that he wanted to cry. He stepped inside, and the door closed behind him. The noise of the coffee shop surrounded him. Machines making coffee? People talking. Soft music playing from speakers, and in the corner of the room, Marcus saw it. A beautiful black piano. It was big and shiny. The kind of piano that cost more money than Marcus had seen in years. His heart beat faster when he saw that piano. His fingers moved a little bit, like they remembered something his mind had tried to forget. Marcus walked slowly toward the counter. His old shoes made quiet sounds on the clean floor. A few people looked up at him. A woman pulled her expensive purse closer when he walked past her table. A man wrinkled his nose, like Marcus smelled bad. Maybe he did smell bad. Marcus did not know anymore. At the counter stood two young people, wearing green aprons. The girl had blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her name tag said Jennifer. The boy had dark hair and a short beard. His name tag said Kyle. Jennifer saw Marcus first. Her smile became smaller and more careful. Her eyes looked at his dirty clothes and his messy hair. Marcus reached the counter and stopped. He tried to stand up straight. He wanted to look like a normal person, not like someone who slept in doorways and parks. Jennifer and Kyle both watched him and waited. "Hello," Marcus said. His voice came out rough and quiet. He cleared his throat and tried again. "Hello, I have a question to ask you." Jennifer nodded slowly. "Okay, what is your question?" Marcus pointed to the piano in the corner. "That piano over there. Would it be okay if I played it? Just for a little while." Kyle let out a small laugh. He covered his mouth quickly, but the laugh had already come out. Jennifer looked uncomfortable. She did not know what to say. Marcus continued talking. His words came faster now. "I know this might sound strange, but I can really play. I am good at it. And I was thinking maybe, if I play the piano for you, maybe you could give me a cup of coffee. Just black coffee. Nothing expensive or fancy. Just something hot to drink." The words hung in the air between them. Jennifer and Kyle looked at each other. Kyle's face showed that he thought this was funny. Jennifer's face showed that she felt sorry for Marcus but also wanted him to leave. Kyle spoke first. "Dude, that is not just any piano. That thing costs like $50,000. It is a real Steinway. The boss paid a lot of money for it. We cannot just let random people come in and bang on it." Marcus felt his face get hot. He was embarrassed, but he did not leave. "I understand it is expensive. I would be very careful with it. I promise. I just need to play. And I am really hungry and cold." Some of the customers in the coffee shop were watching now. Marcus could feel their eyes on him. At a table near the window, 4 young people in nice business clothes were looking at him. One of them, a man with perfect hair and an expensive watch, said something to his friends. They all laughed. The man said it loud enough for Marcus to hear. "Oh yeah, I am sure this guy is like a concert pianist or something. He probably went to that fancy music school in New York. What is it called? Juilliard." His friends laughed louder. One girl took out her phone and pointed it at Marcus. Marcus felt smaller and smaller, but he did not move. He needed that coffee. More than that, he needed to play that piano. He had not touched a piano in so long. His fingers hurt from wanting to play. Jennifer bit her lip. She looked like she wanted to help, but did not know how. Just then, a door behind the counter opened. A man in his 40s came out. He wore nice pants and a button-up shirt. His name tag said Robert Chen, manager. He had heard the voices and came to see what was happening. "What is going on out here?" Robert asked. He looked at Marcus and then at his two workers. Kyle explained. "This guy wants to play the piano. He says he will do it for a free coffee." Robert crossed his arms and looked at Marcus for a long moment. His eyes were sharp and smart. He was trying to figure out what kind of person Marcus was. Was he crazy? Was he dangerous? Was he telling the truth about being able to play? Marcus looked back at Robert. He did not look down or away. There was something in Marcus's eyes that was different from what his clothes and his smell suggested. His eyes looked tired and sad, yes, but they also looked proud. They looked like the eyes of someone who used to be something more than what he was now. "You really know how to play the piano?" Robert asked. "Yes, sir, I do," Marcus said. Robert thought about this. The coffee shop was full of customers. Business was good today. And if he was being honest, this might be interesting. If this homeless man could actually play something, that would be nice. If he could not play and made a fool of himself, well, that was his own choice. Either way, it might make for an interesting story to tell later. "I will make you a deal," Robert said. He uncrossed his arms and pointed at the piano. "You go over there and play something. If it is good, really good, I will give you a coffee and a sandwich. But if you just make noise and bother my customers, you have to leave right away. Do we have a deal?" Marcus felt relief wash over him like warm water. Yes, we have a deal. Thank you." He turned away from the counter and began walking toward the piano. Every step felt heavy. All the people in the coffee shop were watching him now. The talking had stopped. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. The girl who was filming with her phone followed him with her camera. The man with perfect hair whispered something else to his friends and they giggled. Marcus reached the piano and stood in front of it. His hand reached out and touched the smooth, shiny surface. It was beautiful. He had not been this close to a real piano in 3 years. Maybe longer. His eyes started to feel wet, but he blinked the tears away. Not here, not now. Carefully, Marcus took off his old jacket. He folded it slowly and neatly, the way someone folds something valuable. He placed it on a chair next to the piano. Then he sat down on the piano bench. The bench was soft and comfortable. He adjusted his position, moving a little to the left, then a little to the right. His body remembered exactly how to sit. Marcus placed his hands on the keys, but did not press down yet. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Behind him, someone laughed quietly. He heard the man with perfect hair say to his friends, "This is going to be so bad. Keep filming. We can put this on the internet later." But Marcus did not hear them anymore. His mind had gone somewhere else. Somewhere in the past. Somewhere that hurt to remember, but felt like home. His fingers rested on the cool, smooth keys. And then, slowly, he began to play. The first notes came out soft and gentle. They floated through the air like birds. The sound was so beautiful that it seemed impossible it came from the fingers of the dirty, homeless man sitting at the piano. But it did. Marcus was playing a piece by a composer named Chopin. The piece was called Nocturne in E-flat major. It was a famous piece that many piano players tried to play, but not many could play it like this. Every single note was perfect, not just correct, but perfect. Each note had exactly the right touch. Some notes were soft like whispers. Some notes were louder, like someone speaking with emotion. The melody sang out from the piano like a beautiful voice. It filled the entire coffee shop. It filled the spaces between tables. It filled the air above people's heads. It even seemed to fill the spaces inside people's hearts. The talking in the coffee shop stopped completely. Jennifer had been pouring coffee into a cup. She stopped moving, and the coffee kept pouring. It went over the top of the cup and spilled onto the counter. But Jennifer did not notice. She was frozen, staring at Marcus with her mouth open. Kyle stood next to her, holding a rag in his hand. He had stopped breathing. Robert, the manager, stood completely still. His arms were no longer crossed. They hung at his sides. His face showed total shock. At the table by the window, the man with perfect hair had stopped smiling. His phone was still recording, but now his hand was shaking a little. His friends were not laughing anymore. They were leaning forward in their chairs, listening. The girl who had been giggling now had tears starting to form in her eyes, though she did not know why. All around the coffee shop, people pulled out their phones, but they were not filming to make fun of Marcus anymore. They were filming because they knew they were watching something special, something they would want to remember, something they would want to show other people. Marcus's fingers moved across the white and black keys like they were dancing. His hands knew exactly where to go. He never looked down at the keys. His eyes stayed closed. On his face was an expression of peace and pain mixed together. He looked like someone who was finally home after being lost for a very long time. But he also looked like someone who was remembering something that hurt. The Chopin piece came to an end. The last notes faded away slowly. For a moment, there was total silence in the coffee shop. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. It was like the whole room was under a spell. Then, without stopping, Marcus began to play something else. This new piece was completely different. It was fast and exciting. His hands flew up and down the piano, moving so quickly that they almost looked like a blur. This was a piece by a composer named Liszt. The piece was called La Campanella, which means the little bell in Italian. This piece was known as one of the hardest piano pieces ever written. Even very good piano players had trouble with it. Many could not play it at all. But Marcus played it like it was easy. His fingers jumped and danced across the keys. They moved up high to the right side of the piano. They dropped down low to the left side. They played notes so fast that it seemed impossible for human fingers to move that way. The music sounded like bells ringing. It sounded like water falling. It sounded like magic. People in the coffee shop gasped out loud. One old man stood up from his chair without meaning to. A young woman put her hand over her mouth. Someone said, "Oh my God," very quietly. The music was so beautiful and so amazing that some people started to cry. They did not cry because they were sad. They cried because sometimes beauty is so strong that it has to come out as tears. Marcus's face had changed. At first, when he started playing, he had looked nervous and embarrassed. But now, he looked free. The music was lifting him up. It was like the notes were carrying him away from the dirty clothes and the empty stomach and the cold nights sleeping outside. When he played, he was not a homeless man anymore. He was something else, something bigger and more important. Jennifer finally noticed the coffee spilling on the counter. She quickly grabbed a towel and wiped it up. But her hands were shaking. Her eyes kept going back to Marcus. She could not believe what she was hearing. Kyle had moved closer to the piano. He stood there like a statue, watching Marcus's hands fly across the keys. Robert had pulled out his own phone and was recording. His face showed that he was shocked and maybe a little bit ashamed of how he had treated Marcus before. At the table by the window, the man with perfect hair had put his phone down. He was not smiling at all now. In fact, he looked sick. His face was red. He knew that he had laughed at Marcus. He had made fun of him. He had thought Marcus was just a stupid homeless man who would bang on the piano and make noise. Now he felt very small and very wrong. The fast Liszt piece ended. People started to clap, but Marcus did not stop. His hands kept moving. He went right into another piece. This one was soft and slow and so sad that it made your chest hurt. It was a piece by Debussy called Clair de Lune, which means moonlight. The notes fell like rain. They sounded like someone remembering something beautiful that was gone forever. They sounded like missing someone, like loving someone who was not there anymore. An old woman who had been sitting near the window suddenly stood up. Her hand went to her mouth. Her eyes got very wide. She moved closer to the piano, walking carefully between the tables. Her name was Helen. She was 78 years old. She had taught piano for 50 years of her life. She had trained hundreds of students. She had been to concerts all over the world. She knew music the way other people knew their own families. Helen got closer to the piano. She was staring at Marcus like she could not believe what she was seeing. Tears were running down her old face. She whispered something, but the music was too loud. Nobody could hear her words. Marcus played the Debussy piece with so much feeling that it seemed like he was not just playing notes. He was telling a story about love and loss, about beauty and pain, about life and death. Every person listening felt like Marcus was playing just for them, like he knew their secrets and their sadness and was putting it all into music. The piece got softer and softer. The notes became more and more quiet. Finally, Marcus played the last few notes. They were so soft, you could barely hear them. Then his hands lifted from the keys. The music stopped. He sat very still with his eyes closed. His chest moved up and down as he breathed. For 3 or 4 seconds, nobody made a sound. The whole coffee shop was frozen in time. Then someone started clapping. Then someone else. Then everyone. Suddenly, the whole room exploded with clapping and cheering. People stood up from their tables. Some people were crying openly now. Others were shouting, "Bravo!" like they were at a real concert hall. The clapping went on and on. It got louder and louder. Marcus opened his eyes slowly. He looked confused, like he had been asleep and just woke up. He looked around at all the people standing and clapping. His face showed surprise. He had been so lost in the music that he had forgotten where he was. He had forgotten about the people watching. He had forgotten everything except the piano and the notes and the feeling of playing again. He started to stand up, but his legs were shaky. Playing had taken all his energy. He had not eaten much in days. His body was weak. But his soul felt strong. For the first time in years, Marcus felt like himself again. Like the real Marcus. The Marcus he used to be before everything fell apart. Helen, the old woman, pushed through the small crowd that had formed around the piano. People were trying to get closer to Marcus. They wanted to talk to him, to tell him how beautiful the music was. Helen moved past them all. She was old, but she was determined. She reached Marcus and looked right into his face. Her eyes were full of tears and recognition. "I know who you are," Helen said. Her voice was shaking, but it was loud enough for people nearby to hear. "I know exactly who you are." Marcus looked at her. His face went pale. He looked scared suddenly, like he wanted to run away. But there was nowhere to run. Helen was still talking. Her voice got louder. Other people stopped talking so they could hear. "You are Marcus Webb," Helen said. "You won the Van Cliburn competition. That was 13 years ago. I remember. I was there. You were only 21 years old. You played with orchestras all over the world. Berlin, London, New York. I saw you play at Carnegie Hall. You were magnificent. You were one of the greatest young pianists in the world." The coffee shop got very quiet again. People started pulling out their phones, not to record now, but to search. They typed Marcus Webb and Van Cliburn into Google. Within seconds, articles started appearing. Old articles from newspapers and music magazines. Photos of a young man in a tuxedo, smiling, holding a trophy. The young man in the photos looked clean and healthy and happy, but you could tell it was the same person. It was Marcus. The homeless man playing piano for a free coffee was Marcus Webb, the famous pianist. The genius. The one everyone said would be one of the greatest of his generation. "Oh my God," someone said. Then someone else said it. Then everyone was saying it. People crowded around with their phones, showing each other the articles and the photos. The man with perfect hair sat at his table looking down. His face was completely red now. He felt terrible about what he had said and done. Robert pushed through the crowd. He reached Marcus, and his face showed shame and confusion and amazement all at once. Marcus stood by the piano, surrounded by people. All of them were staring at him, waiting for him to speak, waiting for him to explain. How does someone go from playing in Carnegie Hall to asking for a free coffee? How does someone fall so far? Marcus reached for his old jacket. His hands were shaking now, not from playing the piano, from fear, from shame, from having to talk about things he had spent years trying to forget. He pulled the jacket on slowly. It felt heavy now, like it weighed 100 pounds. I would like that coffee now, Marcus said quietly. If the offer is still good. Yes, of course. Robert said quickly. He turned to Jennifer. Get him anything he wants. Anything at all. And food. A sandwich. No, to sandwiches. And soup, if we have it. Jennifer rushed back to the counter. Her hands were still shaking as she made the coffee. Kyle helped her, moving quickly. They both felt bad about how they had treated Marcus when he first came in. They wanted to make up for it now. Robert looked at Marcus with kind eyes. Please, Mr. Webb, will you tell us what happened? You do not have to if you do not want to, but people would like to understand. Marcus looked around the coffee shop. Everyone was watching him. Some looked curious. Some looked sad. The old woman, Helen, had tears still running down her face. She gave him a small nod, like she was telling him it was okay to speak. Marcus took a deep breath. Okay, he said. I will tell you. But can I sit down? I am very tired. Of course. Robert pulled out a chair from a nearby table. Marcus sat down slowly. His body hurt. It always hurt these days. Living on the streets was hard on the body. Jennifer brought over the coffee and put it on the table in front of him. She also brought a big turkey sandwich and a bowl of hot soup. Marcus looked at the food like he could not believe it was real. Thank you, he said softly. He picked up the coffee cup with both hands and took a small sip. The hot liquid went down his throat. It felt like heaven. He closed his eyes for a moment, just feeling the warmth spread through his body. People pulled chairs closer. They sat down around Marcus. Some stood behind the chairs. Everyone wanted to hear. The whole coffee shop had become quiet. Even the coffee machines seemed quieter. The only sound was Marcus drinking his coffee. After a minute, Marcus put the cup down. He looked at his hands on the table. They were rough and dirty. These hands had once played for presidents and kings. Now they were the hands of a man who dug through trash cans looking for bottles to recycle for money. 15 years ago, Marcus began, my life was very different. I was 25 years old. I had won several important competitions. I played concerts all over the world. People said I was going to be one of the great pianists. Maybe they were right. I do not know. I felt like the luckiest person alive. He paused and took another sip of coffee. People waited. Nobody made a sound. I was engaged to be married, Marcus continued. His voice got softer. Her name was Sarah. She was a violinist. We met at a music festival in Colorado. She was the most beautiful person I had ever seen, and not just on the outside. On the inside too. She was kind and funny and smart. She made me laugh. She made me want to be better. Marcus picked up the sandwich and took a small bite. He chewed slowly, like he had forgotten how to eat properly. We were going to get married in June. We had it all planned. A small wedding with just family and close friends. After the wedding, we were going to do a tour together, piano and violin, playing music we both loved. We were going to build a life together. Helen, the old woman, made a small sound, like she knew what was coming next. Like she had heard this story before, or one like it. 3 weeks before the wedding, Marcus said, Sarah was driving to a rehearsal. It was raining. The roads were wet. A truck ran a red light. His voice broke a little. He stopped talking and looked down at the table. The truck hit her car on the driver's side. She died instantly. They told me she did not suffer. They said it was very fast. I do not know if that made it better or worse. Several people in the coffee shop started crying. The girl from the table by the window had tears streaming down her face. Even Kyle, The barista who had laughed at Marcus earlier had wet eyes. Robert put his hand on Marcus's shoulder for just a moment, then took it away. Marcus continued, "After Sarah died, I fell apart. Completely apart. I could not eat. I could not sleep. And I could not play the piano. Every time I tried to play, all I could think about was her. Every piece of music reminded me of something. A concert we went to together. A piece she loved. The music we were going to play at our wedding. It was like the piano had become a torture device instead of something beautiful." He drank more coffee. The cup was almost empty now. Jennifer immediately came over with the pot and filled it again. She did not say anything. She just filled the cup and walked away quietly. "I started drinking," Marcus said. "Alcohol. At first, it was just a little bit. Just enough to help me sleep. To stop the thoughts in my head, but then it became more. I drank in the morning. I drank in the afternoon. I drank all night. I cancelled concerts. I missed rehearsals. I stopped answering my phone. My agent tried to help me. My family tried to help me. But I pushed everyone away. I wanted to be alone with my pain. I felt like if I let go of the pain, I would be letting go of Sarah, and I could not do that." Marcus ate more of the sandwich. He was eating faster now, like his body suddenly remembered it was starving. "Within a year, I lost my agent. I lost my contracts. The concert halls stopped calling. In the classical music world, if you miss your chances, you do not get them back. There are always younger musicians waiting, always someone new and exciting. I understood that. I did not blame anyone. It was my fault, all of it." He stopped and rubbed his face with both hands. "Eventually, I stopped drinking. That was about 6 years ago. I got sober. I joined a program. I worked hard to get clean. But by then, so much time had passed. I tried to come back to music. I called everyone I knew. I begged for a chance. But the music world had moved on. I had burned too many bridges, cancelled too many concerts, disappointed too many people. Nobody wanted to take a risk on me anymore." Robert shook his head. "But, you are so talented. Anyone can hear that. Surely someone would have given you a chance." Marcus gave a sad smile. "Talent is not enough. There are thousands of talented musicians in the world. You need more than talent. You need connections. You need reputation. You need people who believe in you. I had lost all of that. I tried to get normal jobs. I washed dishes for a while. I worked in a warehouse. But I had depression. Bad depression. Some days, I could not get out of bed. Some days, I could not stop crying. I lost those jobs too." He looked around at all the faces watching him. 3 years ago, I could not pay my rent. I got evicted from my apartment. I lived in my car for a few months. Then I had to sell the car to buy food. After that, I was on the streets. And that is where I have been ever since. Moving from city to city, sleeping in shelters when they have room, sleeping outside when they do not. I have not touched a piano in almost 3 years. Until today, the coffee shop was completely silent. The story was so sad that people did not know what to say. How do you respond to something like that? What words could possibly help? Helen stood up. She walked over to Marcus and put her old hand on his shoulder. "You are still here," she said firmly. "You are still alive, and you can still play like an angel. That means something. That means you get another chance." Marcus looked up at her. His eyes were red. "I am 44 years old. I am homeless. I have not performed in over a decade. Who would give me a chance now?" "I would," Helen said, "and I know others who would too." The man with perfect hair stood up from his table. His face was red with shame. He walked over to Marcus, pulled out his wallet, and took out all the cash inside. He put it on the table in front of Marcus. It was maybe $200. "I am so sorry," the man said. His voice cracked. "I am so sorry for what I said. For how I acted. That was wrong. You are amazing." His friends came over to. Each of them put money on the table. One of them said, "I posted your video online. It is already getting shared everywhere. Thousands of people are watching it. Soon, it will be millions. Other people in the coffee shop started coming forward. They put money on the table. They put business cards. They wrote their phone numbers on napkins. A woman said she was a social worker and gave Marcus information about housing programs. A man who owned a music school said Marcus could teach there any time he wanted. Another man said he owned a recording studio and would give Marcus free time to record something if he wanted. Helen pulled out her phone. I still know people in the music world, she said. Good people. Important people. Let me make some calls. Let me see what I can do. Robert looked at all the money piling up on the table. He looked at Marcus. Mr. Webb, I want to offer you a job. You can play piano here in the evenings. We will pay you well, very well, and we will help you find a place to live. We will help you get back on your feet. Marcus looked at all of this happening around him. The money, the offers, the kindness, it was too much. He started to cry. He put his head in his hands and his shoulders shook. He cried for Sarah. He cried for all the lost years. He cried for the person he used to be. That night, Marcus slept in a real bed for the first time in months. Robert, the coffee shop manager, had paid for a hotel room. It was not a fancy hotel, but to Marcus it felt like a palace. The bed had clean white sheets. The bathroom had hot water. There was a television and a small refrigerator. Marcus stood in the shower for 30 minutes, just letting the hot water run over him. He watched the dirt wash off his body and go down the drain. He washed his hair 3 times. He brushed his teeth until his gums hurt. After the shower, Marcus wrapped himself in the clean white towel. He looked at himself in the mirror. His face was thin, too thin. His ribs showed through his skin. His hair was long and messy, but at least now it was clean. He looked into his own eyes. He had been avoiding mirrors for years. It hurt too much to see what he had become. But tonight, something was different in his eyes. A small spark. Maybe hope. Maybe just exhaustion. He was not sure yet. Marcus lay down on the bed. The mattress was soft. The pillow smelled like laundry soap. He thought he would fall asleep immediately. He was so tired, but his mind would not stop. He kept thinking about what had happened at the coffee shop. The playing, the people, the crying, the money on the table. All of it felt like a dream. Like something that happened to someone else. He thought about Sarah. He had not let himself think about her clearly in so long. It hurt too much, but tonight he let her face come into his mind. Her smile. Her laugh. The way she played violin with her whole body, moving and swaying with the music. Would she be proud of him for playing today? Or would she be sad about what he had become? He wished he could ask her. He wished so many things. Marcus finally fell asleep around 3 in the morning. He slept hard and deep, the way you sleep when your body is completely exhausted. He did not dream, or if he did not remember. When he woke up, sunlight was coming through the hotel curtains. He looked at the clock. It was almost noon. He had slept for 9 hours. 9 hours of real sleep, in a real bed. His body felt different. Still sore, but different. He got up and turned on the television while he got dressed. He put on the same clothes he had worn yesterday. They were the only clothes he had. But at least his body was clean now. The television was on a news channel. Marcus was not really watching. He was thinking about what to do next. Should he go back to the coffee shop? Should he look for Helen, the old woman who said she could help him? But then he heard something that made him stop moving. And in a story that is touching hearts around the world, the newswoman on TV was saying, a homeless man walked into a Seattle coffee shop yesterday and asked if he could play the piano in exchange for a free coffee. What happened next is truly amazing. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the television. They were showing video from the coffee shop. His video, him sitting at the piano, him playing. The camera was shaky, but you could see everything. You could see his dirty clothes. You could see his messy hair. And you could hear the music. The beautiful, perfect music. The man is Marcus Webb, the newswoman continued. He was once a world-famous concert pianist who won the prestigious Van Cliburn competition. But after a personal tragedy, he fell into depression and homelessness. Yesterday, he played for the first time in years, and the video has now been viewed over 10 million times. People around the world are calling it one of the most moving comebacks they have ever seen. Marcus sat down on the bed. His legs felt weak. 10 million views. 10 million people had watched him at his lowest moment. Part of him felt embarrassed, ashamed that so many people saw him looking like that. But another part of him felt something else, something he could not quite name. His phone rang. He had forgotten he even had a phone. It was an old phone that barely worked. He had kept it for emergencies, but the battery was always dying and he rarely had anywhere to charge it. Now, it was ringing. The screen showed a number he did not know. "Hello." Marcus answered. "Is this Marcus Webb?" A woman's voice asked. "Yes, who is this?" "Mr. Webb, my name is Patricia Newman. I am a booking agent for classical musicians. I have been trying to reach you all morning. Have you seen the video?" "I just saw it on the news," Marcus said. "Mr. Webb, my phone has not stopped ringing. I have had calls from concert halls in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and London. Everyone wants to know if you are available to perform. The Seattle Symphony wants to feature you in their next concert. Carnegie Hall wants to discuss a performance. This is incredible. I have never seen anything like this." Marcus could not speak. His throat felt tight. Patricia continued. "I know you have been out of the music world for a long time, and I understand you may need time to prepare. But Mr. Webb, this is a real chance. A chance to come back? People are interested in you again. Very interested. Would you consider working with me? I would love to represent you." Marcus found his voice. "I do not have any money to pay you." "Do not worry about that now," Patricia said. "We can work out the details later. First, let us just talk. Can you come to my office today? I am in Seattle. I can send a car for you." "A car?" "Yes, of course." "Where are you staying?" Marcus gave her the name of the hotel. They agreed to meet in 2 hours. When Marcus hung up the phone, his hand was shaking. This was really happening. Whatever this was, over the next few hours, more calls came. A producer from a morning talk show wanted Marcus to appear on television. A magazine wanted to interview him. A documentary filmmaker wanted to make a film about his life. Marcus's old agent, the one who had dropped him years ago, called to apologize and ask if they could work together again. Marcus told him no, politely but firmly. Helen, the old piano teacher from the coffee shop, called. "I told you I knew people," she said happily. "I have been making calls all morning. Everyone is talking about you, Marcus. Everyone wants to help." "I do not understand why," Marcus said honestly. "Yes, the video is popular. But I am still the same person, still homeless, still broken." "No," Helen said firmly. "You are not broken. Hurt? Yes. Down on your luck? Yes. But not broken. Broken things cannot make music like you made yesterday. You are still in there, Marcus. The real you, and people can feel that when you play. That is why the video touched so many hearts. People saw your talent. Yes? But they also saw your humanity, your pain, your strength. We all have pain, Marcus, every single person. When they watch you overcome yours, even for just a few minutes at a piano, it gives them hope for their own pain." Marcus felt tears coming to his eyes again. He seemed to be crying a lot lately. "Thank you, Helen. Come see me tomorrow," Helen said. "I want to help you prepare. If you are going to play concerts again, we need to work on your repertoire. Choose pieces. Practice. You are amazing, Marcus, but even amazing musicians need to prepare." When the car came to take Marcus to Patricia's office, he almost could not believe it was for him. It was a nice black car with a driver in a suit. The driver opened the door for Marcus. "Mr. Webb," he said, nodding respectfully. Marcus got in the back seat. The car smelled like leather and was very clean. He felt out of place in his dirty clothes. Patricia's office was in a tall building downtown. Marcus took the elevator to the 12th floor. The office was all glass and modern furniture. Patricia met him at the door. She was about 50 years old, with short grey hair and kind eyes. She shook his hand warmly. "Mr. Webb, thank you so much for coming. Please, sit down. Would you like some coffee, water, anything to eat?" They sat in her office and talked for over an hour. Patricia explained how the music business worked now, how much things had changed in the years Marcus had been gone. She showed him all the messages she had received. Requests for interviews, offers for concerts, proposals for recordings. It was overwhelming. "I need to be honest with you," Marcus said. "I have not performed a real concert in over 10 years. I have not practiced seriously in 3 years. I am out of shape, both physically and musically. My fingers hurt. My back hurts. Everything hurts. I do not know if I can do what these people want." Patricia nodded. "I understand. And we will not rush anything. But Marcus, you need to understand something. Yes, people are interested because of the video, because of the story, but that will only get you in the door. After that, it is all about the music. And from what I heard on that video, you still have the music in you. That has not gone anywhere." She leaned forward. "Let us start small. The Seattle Symphony wants you to play one piece at their concert next month. Just one. You can choose what you play. You will have time to practice. We will get you everything you need. A place to practice, a piano, whatever you need. What do you say?" Marcus thought about it. One piece, one concert. It felt possible. Scary, but possible. "Okay," he said. "I will try." Patricia smiled. "Good. That is all I ask. Now, let us talk about practical things. You need clothes. You need a place to live. You need to eat properly and get your strength back. I have some resources to help with all of that. Consider it an investment in your future, our future, if you will, work with me." When Marcus left Patricia's office 2 hours later, his head was spinning. So much had happened in just 24 hours. Yesterday morning he had been sleeping under a bridge. Today he had a booking agent, offers for concerts, and help getting his life back together. 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in front of a piano in a small practice room. The room was in a music school, arranged by Helen. It had white walls, one window, and nothing else except the piano and a bench. This piano was not as nice as the Steinway at the coffee shop, but it was good enough. More importantly, it was his to use whenever he wanted. Marcus placed his hands on the keys but did not play. His fingers were shaking. Not from cold or fear, exactly. From something else. He had not practiced seriously in 3 years. His muscles had forgotten. His mind remembered everything perfectly. Every note of every piece he had ever learned. But his body did not cooperate anymore. The first few days of practice had been frustrating and painful. He started with scales. Simple scales that beginner students played. C major, up and down. His fingers stumbled. They hit wrong notes. They felt stiff and clumsy. Marcus wanted to cry. He used to be able to play the most difficult pieces in the world. Now he could barely play a simple scale without making mistakes. But he kept going. Every day he came to this room. Every day he practiced scales, arpeggios, simple exercises. It was boring and humiliating. But slowly, very slowly, his fingers started to remember. The stiffness began to ease. The wrong notes became less frequent. Helen came to work with him 3 times a week. She was patient but firm. She corrected his posture, his hand position, his breathing, all the basics he had forgotten or let slip. At first, Marcus felt embarrassed to be treated like a beginner, but Helen just smiled. "Even great athletes have to train," she told him. "You are an athlete of the piano. You have been injured. Now you must heal and rebuild your strength. There is no shame in starting from the beginning." Patricia, his new agent, visited regularly to. She brought good news each time. The Seattle Symphony concert was confirmed. It would be in 1 month. Marcus would play Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto, No. 2. It was one of the most famous and beautiful piano concertos ever written. It was also very difficult. Marcus had played it many times in his youth, but that felt like a lifetime ago. "Can I really do this?" Marcus asked Patricia one day. This concerto is over 30 minutes long. My hands, my back, everything hurts after just an hour of practice. How can I play for 30 minutes in front of hundreds of people? Patricia sat down next to him on the bench. You can do it because you have done it before. The music is still inside you, Marcus. Your body just needs to catch up with your mind. And you still have time. Keep working. Keep believing. The practical parts of his life were getting better too. Patricia had helped him find a small apartment. It was not fancy. Just one room with a bed, a table, and a tiny kitchen. But it had a door that locked. It had heat. It had running water. To Marcus, it felt like a mansion. He cried the first night he slept there, overwhelmed by the simple luxury of safety and privacy. She had also given him money for clothes. Marcus bought simple things: jeans, t-shirts, a warm jacket, and one nice suit for performances. When he put on the suit and looked in the mirror, he saw a glimpse of his old self. The person he used to be. It made him feel hopeful and sad at the same time. Robert from the coffee shop visited too. He brought food, groceries, gift cards to restaurants. You need to eat well, Robert said. Musicians are like athletes. You need fuel for your body. Marcus was grateful. His body was so thin from years of poor nutrition. He needed to rebuild his strength. The hardest part was not the physical practice. It was the mental part. Every time Marcus sat at the piano, he thought about Sarah. He remembered playing for her, playing with her, all the dreams they had shared. The music brought back all the pain he had spent years trying to bury. Several times, he had to stop practicing because he was crying too hard to see the keys, Talon noticed. One day, after Marcus stopped practicing because he was too upset, she sat down next to him. Talk to me, she said gently. Marcus told her everything. About Sarah. About how every piece of music felt like a memory. About how playing felt like opening an old wound that had never healed properly. Sometimes I think it would be easier to just stop, he said. To walk away from music forever. It hurts too much. Helen was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. Music does not hurt, Marcus. Loss hurts. Grief hurts. Music is just honest. It does not lie. It does not hide pain. It shows pain, yes, but it also shows beauty, joy, hope, all of it together. That is why music is so powerful. That is why people need it. She put her hand on his shoulder. Sarah would not want you to stop playing because of her. She loved you. She loved music. She would want you to play, not to forget her, but to honor her, to show the world the beauty that you two shared. That is not betraying her memory. That is celebrating it. Marcus thought about this for a long time. Maybe Helen was right. Maybe playing was not about forgetting Sarah. Maybe it was about remembering her in the right way. Not with pain that destroyed him, but with love that made him stronger. After that conversation, something shifted. The practice was still hard. His fingers still hurt, but Marcus started to feel different when he played. Instead of trying to push away thoughts of Sarah, he let them come. He played for her. He imagined she was listening. He imagined her smiling at the beautiful parts and encouraging him through the difficult parts. The Rachmaninoff concerto started to come together. This piece was perfect for Marcus in many ways. It was written by a composer who had also suffered from depression. Rachmaninoff had written this concerto after a difficult time in his life. The music was full of pain and struggle, but also hope and triumph. When Marcus played it, he felt like he was telling his own story. Helen worked with him on interpretation. Technical skill is not enough, she said. Thousands of pianists can play the notes correctly. What makes a performance special is the emotion. The story you tell. You have lived through pain, Marcus. You have survived loss. Let that come through in the music. Do not hide it. Share it. Marcus practiced the opening of the concerto over and over. It started with soft, mysterious chords, like something emerging from darkness. Then the piano entered with the main theme, a melody that was heartbreaking and beautiful at the same time. Marcus played it with all the emotion he felt, all the years of pain, all the years of wandering, all the hope he was just beginning to feel again. One day, 3 weeks before the concert, the Seattle Symphony conductor came to hear Marcus practice. His name was David Martinez. He was a famous conductor who had worked with the greatest orchestras in the world. Marcus was nervous. What if the conductor did not like his playing? What if he decided Marcus was not ready? David listened to Marcus play through the first movement of the concerto. When Marcus finished, there was silence. Marcus held his breath. Then David started clapping. "Bravo," he said. "That was extraordinary. You are going to be magnificent in this concert." Marcus felt relief wash over him. "You really think so?" "I know so," David said. "I have conducted this concerto dozens of times with dozens of pianists. What you just played had something special. Something I rarely hear. You are not just playing notes. You are speaking from your soul. The audience is going to feel that." They talked about the concert, about rehearsals with the orchestra, about how the stage would be set up, about everything Marcus needed to know. As David was leaving, he turned back. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Yes," Marcus said. "Why did you stop playing for so long? After what happened to your fiancée, why did you give up something you were so good at?" Marcus thought about the question. "I did not think I deserved to be happy or successful. When Sarah died, part of me died too. I thought if I kept playing, if I kept being successful, I would be betraying her. Like I was moving on without her, so I destroyed my own life. Because that felt like loyalty." David nodded slowly. "And now? What changed?" "I learned that destroying myself does not honor her memory. She would hate what I did to myself. She loved music. She loved me. She would want me to live, to play, to find joy again. That is real loyalty. Not throwing my life away, but living it as fully as I can. For both of us." David smiled. "That is beautiful and true. I think your performance is going to touch many hearts, Marcus. Because everyone in that audience will hear your story in the music. They will hear the pain, but they will also hear the hope. The survival, the comeback. That is powerful." After David left, Marcus practiced for 3 more hours. His fingers were sore. His back ached. But he felt good, strong. For the first time in years, maybe for the first time since Sarah died, Marcus felt like himself. Not the person he used to be exactly. That person was gone forever. But a new version. A person who had been broken and was learning to put himself back together. The cracks would always be there. But maybe, just maybe, the cracks would let the light shine through. The day of the concert arrived. Marcus woke up at 6 in the morning, even though the concert was not until 8 at night. He could not sleep anymore. His mind was too busy. His body was too nervous. He got out of bed and made coffee in his small kitchen. The apartment was quiet. Outside, the city was just starting to wake up. He could hear birds singing, car doors closing, the normal sounds of morning. Marcus sat at his small table and drank his coffee slowly. Today was the day. After all these years, after all the pain and struggle and homelessness, after all the practicing and doubt, today he would walk onto a real stage and play for a real audience. He felt scared and excited at the same time. His hands were already shaking a little. He tried to eat breakfast, but his stomach was too nervous. He managed a piece of toast and some fruit. Then he took a long hot shower. He washed his hair carefully, shaved his face until it was smooth. He looked at himself in the mirror. He looked healthier than he had a month ago. His face was not so thin. His eyes were clearer. He looked like a person with a future now, not just a past. Patricia had arranged for a car to pick him up at 6 in the evening. That meant Marcus had the whole day to wait. He tried to rest, but could not. He tried to watch television, but could not focus. Finally, he decided to practice one more time. He went to the music school and let himself into his practice room. The piano waited for him, like an old friend. Marcus played through the concerto one final time. His fingers knew every note now. They moved automatically, without him having to think. The muscle memory had returned. But he was not just playing notes anymore. He was telling a story. His story. The story of loss and survival. of falling down and getting back up, of finding hope in the darkest places. When he finished playing, Helen was standing in the doorway. Marcus had not heard her come in. "How long have you been there?" he asked. "Long enough," she said, smiling. Tears were in her eyes. "Oh, Marcus. You are ready." "You are so ready." "I am terrified," Marcus admitted. "Good," Helen said. "That means you care. The day you stop being nervous before a performance is the day you should stop performing. The fear means it matters to you." They talked for a while. Helen gave him last-minute advice. Reminders about breathing, about posture, about connecting with the audience. "Remember," she said, "they are not there to judge you. They are there to experience something beautiful with you. You are all in it together. The music is bigger than all of you. Let it flow through you, not from you." At 5 o'clock, Marcus went home to get dressed. He put on his new suit, black pants, white shirt, black jacket, a simple black tie. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the person looking back. This person looked professional, confident, like a concert pianist, not like someone who had been sleeping in parks a month ago. The car arrived exactly at 6. The driver helped Marcus into the back seat. "Big night, Mr. Webb," the driver said with a smile. "I looked up your video. You are amazing." "Thank you," Marcus said quietly. They drove through Seattle, toward Benaroya Hall, where the Seattle Symphony performed. As they got closer, Marcus's heart beat faster and faster. He could see the building now. It was beautiful, all glass and modern architecture. People were already arriving, dressed in nice clothes. This was really happening. The car pulled up to a special entrance for performers. A stage manager met Marcus at the door. "Mr. Webb, welcome. Come with me. I will show you to your dressing room." Marcus followed the stage manager through hallways backstage. Everything was busy. Musicians warming up. Staff members rushing around with clipboards. The energy was electric. They reached a small dressing room with Marcus's name on the door. His name, on a door. At a real concert hall. Marcus felt like he might cry. "You have about 90 minutes, the stage manager said. "Someone will come get you 15 minutes before your performance. There is water and snacks in here. A bathroom right next door. If you need anything at all, just pick up that phone and dial 0. "Okay." Marcus nodded. "Okay, thank you." The door closed and Marcus was alone. He sat down on the small couch and took deep breaths. In and out. In and out. He tried to calm his racing heart. He thought about Sarah. What would she say to him right now? Probably something like, "Stop overthinking it, just play. Let the music do what music does." That was always her way. Simple, direct, wise. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," Marcus called. It was Robert from the coffee shop, along with Jennifer and Kyle. They were all dressed up. "We wanted to wish you good luck before the show," Robert said. "The whole staff is here. We bought tickets for everyone." Marcus stood up and shook their hands. "Thank you so much. For everything. I would not be here without you." Without that day at the coffee shop, Jennifer hugged him. "You are going to be amazing. We are so proud of you." After they left, more visitors came. Helen arrived with flowers. Patricia came to give him a pep talk. Brad, the man from the coffee shop who had laughed at Marcus, came to. He looked embarrassed. "I just wanted to say again how sorry I am, and to tell you that what you did, coming back from where you were, is inspiring, really inspiring. I will never forget it." Finally, 15 minutes before the performance, the stage manager knocked. "It is time, Mr. Webb." Marcus's heart felt like it was going to explode out of his chest. His hands were sweating. He wiped them on his pants. He followed the stage manager through more hallways. They reached the side of the stage. He could hear the audience on the other side of the curtain. Hundreds of people, maybe over 1,000, all waiting to hear him play. The conductor, David Martinez, appeared. He put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Remember what I told you? Let the music speak. Trust yourself. You have got this." The orchestra was already on stage, tuning their instruments. The concert hall lights dimmed. The audience got quiet. The stage manager whispered, "Okay, Mr. Webb. After the conductor goes out, I will signal you. Then, you walk straight to the piano. Take your time, sit down. Get comfortable. Only start when you are ready." "Okay." Marcus nodded. He could not speak. His throat was too tight. David walked out onto the stage. Marcus heard applause. Loud applause. Then, it got quiet. David would be bowing to the audience now. Then, he would turn and signal for Marcus. Now, the stage manager whispered, "Go." Marcus walked out onto the stage. The lights were so bright, he could barely see the audience. But, he could feel them. Hundreds of eyes watching him. The applause started. It got louder, louder. People were standing up. They were giving him a standing ovation before he even played a single note. Because of the video, because of his story, because they were rooting for him, Marcus felt tears in his eyes, but he blinked them back. Not now. He walked to the piano. His legs felt like rubber, but they carried him. He reached the beautiful black grand piano and sat down on the bench. He adjusted his position. Just like he had practiced, he placed his hands on his knees and took 3 deep breaths. The audience was silent now, waiting. Marcus looked at David. David looked back and gave a small nod. "Are you ready?" Yes, Marcus was ready. As ready as he would ever be, he lifted his hands and placed them on the keys. The orchestra lifted their instruments. David raised his baton. And then, after years of silence, after years of pain and darkness and struggle, Marcus began to play. The opening chords filled the hall, soft and mysterious, like dawn breaking after a long night. The orchestra joined in. Their sound wrapped around the piano sound like a warm blanket. And Marcus, lost in the music, felt something he had not felt in over a decade. He felt free. He felt whole. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The first movement of the concerto flowed out of him. His fingers danced across the keys. Every note was right where it should be. The technical passages that had given him trouble in practice now felt effortless. He was not thinking about his fingers or his posture or anything technical. He was just feeling. Just being. Just playing. The audience disappeared. The concert hall disappeared. Even the orchestra seemed far away. There was only Marcus and the piano and the music. And in his mind, Sarah was there too. Listening, smiling, proud. He played for her. He played for himself. He played for everyone who had ever fallen down and wondered if they could get back up. When the first movement ended, there was supposed to be silence before the second movement began. But the audience could not help themselves. They burst into applause. This was unusual. People usually did not clap between movements. But they could not hold it in. What they had just heard was too beautiful. Too powerful. David turned and smiled at Marcus. Then he turned back to the orchestra to begin the second movement. The second movement was slow and sad. This was the heart of the concerto. The most emotional part. Marcus played it with all the grief he had carried for so many years. Every note ached. Every phrase wept. But it was not destructive pain. It was healing pain. The kind of pain that comes when you finally let yourself feel everything. You have been holding back. People in the audience were crying. Marcus could not see them because of the lights, but he could feel it. He could feel the emotion in the room. Everyone was connected by the music. Everyone was sharing in this moment of profound beauty and sadness. Then came the third movement. Fast and triumphant. This was the victory. The comeback. The rising from the ashes. The sound was like thunder. Like a wave crashing over Marcus. The entire audience was on their feet, clapping, cheering. Some people were shouting bravo. Others were crying. The applause went on and on. It did not stop. Marcus stood up from the piano bench, his legs shaking. He bowed to the audience. The applause got even louder. David, the conductor, came over and shook Marcus's hand. He was smiling so big. The orchestra members were tapping their bows on their music stands, which was their way of applauding. Marcus bowed to them too. Then he bowed to the audience again. Still, the applause continued. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, people would not stop clapping. Finally, Marcus walked off the stage, but the audience would not stop. They kept clapping and cheering. The stage manager ran up to Marcus. You have to go back out there. They want an encore. They are not going to stop until you play something else. An encore. Marcus had not prepared an encore. He had been so focused on the concerto that he had not thought about what else he might play. But now, standing in the wings with the audience still roaring, he knew exactly what to play. Marcus walked back onto the stage. The audience exploded again. He held up his hand, asking for quiet. Slowly, the applause died down. People sat back down in their seats. Marcus sat down at the piano. He did not announce what he was going to play. He just began. The first notes of Clair de Lune drifted out into the hall. This was the piece he had played at the coffee shop. The piece that had started everything. The piece that was about moonlight and dreams and memories. Marcus played it even more beautifully than he had that day. He played it with all the love he had for Sarah. All the gratitude he had for the second chance he had been given. All the hope he had for the future. When the last note faded away, the audience sat in complete silence for a moment. Then they stood up again. More applause, more cheers, more tears. Marcus bowed one final time and left the stage. This time, he did not come back. It was perfect. The concert was over. Backstage, Marcus was surrounded by people. Musicians from the orchestra congratulated him. The stage manager hugged him. Patricia was crying and laughing at the same time. That was the most incredible performance I have ever heard, she said. Marcus, your career is back. It is really back. Helen pushed through the crowd and threw her arms around Marcus. I knew you could do it, she whispered. I always knew. Robert and his staff from the coffee shop were there too. That was unbelievable, Robert said. I am going to tell everyone that you played your first comeback concert at my coffee shop. There was a small reception after the concert. Marcus met dozens of people. Critics from newspapers and magazines, other musicians, music teachers who wanted to bring their students to meet him. Everyone wanted to talk to him, to shake his hand, to take a picture with him. It was overwhelming, but in a good way. A woman approached him, holding the hand of a young boy. The boy looked about 10 years old and was holding a violin case. Mr. Webb, the woman said, my son plays violin. He saw your video, and it inspired him so much. He has been practicing twice as hard since he saw it. He wanted to meet you. Marcus knelt down to the boy's level. What is your name, Daniel? The boy said shyly. Daniel, it is very nice to meet you. You play violin? The boy nodded. I am not very good yet, but I am trying hard. Marcus smiled. Trying hard is the most important thing. Do you know what I learned? Talent is good, but it is not enough. What matters is that you keep going, even when things are hard. Even when you want to quit. Can you promise me you will keep playing? I promise, Daniel said seriously. Good. Then maybe one day I will come to see you perform. The boy's face lit up. His mother wiped tears from her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Webb. You do not know what this means. But Marcus did know. He knew exactly what it meant to be inspired, to have hope, to believe things could get better. That was what people had given him at the coffee shop. Now he could give it to others. Later that night, back in his small apartment, Marcus sat on his couch in silence. The suit jacket was off. His tie was loose. He was exhausted, but happy. His phone had been ringing all night. More interview requests. More concert offers. A recording company wanted to make an album with him. A university wanted him to teach. A charity that helped homeless people wanted him to be their spokesperson. It was too much to think about right now. Marcus just sat in the quiet and let himself feel everything. Pride, joy, sadness, relief, all of it mixed together. He thought about the journey he had been on. From playing in concert halls around the world, to losing everything, to sleeping on the streets, to playing for a free coffee, to tonight. Back on stage, back home, his phone buzzed. A text message from Patricia. The reviews are starting to come in. They are incredible. Check your email. Marcus opened his email on his phone. There was a review from the Seattle Times music critic. He read it slowly. Last night, Seattle witnessed one of the most remarkable comebacks in classical music history. Marcus Webb, once a rising star who disappeared from the music world over a decade ago, returned to the stage with a performance of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 that can only be described as transcendent. Webb played with a depth of emotion and technical mastery that few pianists ever achieve. But what made the performance truly special was the sense that we were witnessing not just a musician playing notes, but a human being sharing his soul. The pain and triumph in his playing reflected his own life journey from homelessness to this triumphant return. By the end of the performance, there was not a dry eye in the hall. "Welcome back, Mr. Webb. The music world has missed you." Marcus set down his phone. He walked to the small window of his apartment and looked out at the city. Lights twinkled in buildings. Cars moved on streets below. Life went on, as it always did. But for Marcus, life felt different now. It felt full of possibility again. Over the next few months, more concerts came. Marcus played in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in New York. Every concert sold out. Every performance received standing ovations. People came not just to hear good music, but to be part of his story. To witness the comeback. To feel inspired by someone who had lost everything and found his way back. A documentary filmmaker made a film about Marcus's life. It premiered at a big film festival and won awards. Suddenly, Marcus was not just famous in the classical music world. He was famous everywhere. People stopped him on the street. They thanked him for giving them hope. They told him their own stories of struggle and comeback. Marcus started teaching at a music school. He worked especially with students who were struggling with depression or personal problems. He understood them in ways other teachers could not. He knew what it was like to want to give up. And he knew how music could save you. He also started working with homeless shelters. He played concerts at shelters. He donated money. He talked to people living on the streets and told them his story. He wanted them to know that homelessness was not the end, that comeback was possible, that they still mattered 1 year after the coffee shop incident. Marcus was invited back to the Grand Brew. Robert had organized a special anniversary event. The coffee shop was packed with people. All the local news stations were there. Marcus sat down at the same piano where it all began. He played the same pieces, Chopin, Liszt, Debussy. The audience squeezed into every corner of the coffee shop, listened with tears in their eyes. After he finished playing, Marcus spoke to the crowd. "1 year ago, I walked through those doors as a homeless man. I was broken, I was lost. I had given up on life. I asked if I could play this piano for a free coffee, and the people here said yes. That yes changed everything. That yes gave me back my life. That yes reminded me that I still had value. That I still had something to offer the world. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to Robert for taking a chance on me. Thank you to everyone who filmed that day and shared it. Thank you to everyone who reached out to help. You saved my life." The audience stood and applauded. Marcus saw faces he recognized. Helen was there, sitting in the front. Patricia was there. The man who had laughed at him, Brad, was there too. Daniel, the young violin player, was there with his mother. And new faces too. People who had heard his story and wanted to be part of it. Robert came up and handed Marcus an envelope. "This is from all of us," he said. We took up a collection. Marcus opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $50,000. "We wanted to start a foundation in your name," Robert explained. "A foundation to help other homeless people who have talents and dreams but just need a chance. We are calling it the Marcus Webb Second Chance Foundation. Will you help us run it?" Marcus could not speak. He just nodded and hugged Robert. More applause filled the coffee shop. That night, Marcus went home to his apartment. It was bigger now. He had moved to a better place. But he had kept it simple. He did not need much. On his bedside table was a framed photo of Sarah. It was the only photo he had kept through all his years on the streets. He picked it up and looked at her smiling face. "I did it," he whispered to the photo. "I found my way back. I hope you are proud." He set the photo down and got ready for bed. Tomorrow, he had a rehearsal for a concert at Carnegie Hall. Next month, he was recording his first album in over a decade. Next year, he was going on a world tour. His calendar was full. His life was full.